And she's an Olympic gold medalist, world champion, and lawyer, as well as a mother. And now she can add author to her stellar resume. She's opening up her life in a new memoir called Rockstar: My Life on and Off the Ice. And Jennifer joins us now over the phone to tell us more. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So we played a clip of you there. So now I guess we're, over 10 years away from that. So what comes up for you, now looking back 10 years when you hear a moment like that?
Oh, well, thanks for starting my day off great because I get this big smile on my face. Obviously, it was a moment of a lifetime. And I just remember going into those games and we enjoyed every single moment of it and played as well as we've ever played. And to do that at the biggest moment in your athletic career was something that dreams are made of. So it was just a dream come true kind of moment for us and just so much pride in representing Canada.
What was happening for you off the ice at that time? Because I know this memoir coming up is talking about everything. I think everyone knows the Jennifer Jones on the ice, but this book kind of shines light on that. Can you think about like what? Because you're balancing life as a lawyer and a mother and all this stuff. So we see you, taking home gold. But what it was like for you back then, around for a gold medalist like yourself at that time?
Well, at that time, actually, I had a 13-month-old daughter, and it was the first time I had ever left her, and we had to leave her for almost a month when we went to the game. So it was
Wow.
that just trying to figure out all of the logistics behind that, and figuring out how to still feel that she was a part of it because she was such a big part of it. She just really changed my perspective and kind of gave me a sense of calm that I had never felt before. And I had just underwent kind of reconstructive knee surgery leading up to the game, so it was definitely a couple of years of change in my life and trying to get through a bunch of things. And then all of a sudden, here we are standing on top of the Olympic podium. And I don't believe that I could have done it without all the obstacles. And it was so amazing that our daughter could be a part of it in some way.
Oh, that's huge. As someone who also has a 13-month-old daughter right now, actually, I can only imagine what it'd be like to be away for like a month like that to make that happen.
Yeah, it,
Wow.
it, it had its moments.
Yes, I can only imagine. Why did you want to write a book, that looks deeper than just your curling career and to be that vulnerable?
Well, you know what? I don't know because it's kind of something that's against my not my personality, but I'm just so private and personal. But just over the years, our team would just sit down and say, "We need to put this in a book. We need to write a book." And then I think when I was done curling, I really had a hard time wrapping my head around being done from the sport that I love so much. I always thought that when I retired, it was because I just didn't want to do it anymore. But that never happened to me. I still loved it as much the day I retired as the day I started. And so, when I retired, it was like I started kind of thinking about all the years and started making notes, and then it just seemed to make sense. I was contacted to see if I'd be interested in writing a book, and it just seemed to make sense. It was very therapeutic for me, and it really was something that for our two daughters, I could leave them a written record of what was, 25 years of my life and actually all of their lives to date. They were toured around the country. They went to all these curling events, and it was such a big part of their life. And it was a way to have something written, a written record for them of why we did it and how it made me feel and what we overcame in order to achieve our goals. And hopefully, they'll always dream like I did.
Now you've actually you're going to actually read a segment of your book for us here. So what have you picked?
From the book. Um, well, I was going to. There's a chapter called "Why Not Me," and
Oh yeah.
I
Oh, you can tell us about it as well. I know if you don't have the book handy.
yeah no, there's a chapter. Yeah, there's a chapter called "Why Not Me," and I think that's really the chapter that changed me. And it was Cal Botterill, our sports psychologist, who once said that to me. And I used to always think, "Why me? Like, why would I? Why would it happen to me? Why would I be so lucky that all of these things would happen?" And he got me really to change it to really think, "Why not you?" And out of everybody in the world, like it's the same way to think about it, but just in a different way. And so he gave me the confidence to dream big and to believe in myself in a way that I never thought possible. And I think that was probably the pivotal moment in my career where all of a sudden I believed in myself, and so many people told me I couldn't be a lawyer and a successful curler, and Cal made me realize, why not me? Why couldn't I do it? And then I wanted to have a family very badly, and then all of a sudden it happened. And again, people were doubters that you couldn't do all of these things, and why not me helped me really kind of get over that and realize that anything was possible.
I imagine that motto also. I wonder how much that came into effect. In the early days too, because I mean, curling traditionally is a male-dominated sport. So, what was it like to be, a curler during those days when equality in the sport just looked a lot different?
You know what? I think that that's something I look back with just such fondness, because we played during the evolution of the women's game. It changed a lot from the amount of time on TV, the events that we were included in, just so many things. But looking back to when I was growing up, and I think that's why we played so aggressively, is because we would watch the men play. They were on TV more. I found the game very captivating and wanted to really try to push the limits of what women could do, and why couldn't we play a little bit more aggressively. So it definitely had a big impact. But then when I look back and think that maybe we were part of this evolution, or some small part of the evolution of the women's game, it's it's just so humbling to me that we got to experience how it changed and how it grew over time, and got to be kind of front and center in that.
And also, while this is happening, you're also a lawyer. You have a legal career. How do you manage to balance all of that? Like, did you ever, have to bring along some work, and work on bill some hours, like, at the hotel?
Oh yeah, no, for sure I did. And but I surrounded myself with people who believed in me, and from my job to my family to my friends, it was all people who believed in me. And I'm very lucky that I got to work. I worked actually at Aikens, McCauley and Thorwaldson back then, and my mentor was so supportive. But I did work on the road. I remember taking a couple of conference calls after a semifinal before the final of a world championship, and I would spend a lot of time in the bathroom so I didn't disrupt my roommate, trying to get my work done. And I always kind of made this commitment to my employer that, you believe in me, you support me, and I'll never miss a deadline. And I don't believe that I ever did. And I just made sure that I was available for my clients, available for um, my colleagues, but also present with my team. And that's really been something that I've worked on over time, is to just be in the moment, be where my feet are, and so that wherever I am, it gets 100% of my attention. And it's really helped me. I don't like to use the word balance, but helped me kind of find a way to do all the things that I wanted to do.
I also know you do identify as an introvert yourself, and I mean, when you're doing things like being a lawyer, which involves a lot of interacting with people, also being on the ice, also having to talk to media folks like myself a lot, especially when you're in the prime of your career. How big of a challenge was that to just find that recharge time for yourself? And was there ever a struggle to do that?
And it definitely was a struggle, and it was a huge adjustment for me. I curled because I loved it. I didn't curl because I wanted to be in the spotlight. And then all of a sudden, you have to become open and vulnerable. And I think early on in my career, people just thought I was, sometimes was labeled as cold, and it it had nothing to do with anything other than the fact that I was just so shy, and it was hard for me to kind of be open and vulnerable. And over the past, I guess, number of years since our daughters were born, I just became a lot more comfortable and confident in who I was, and became a lot more open, and I really evolved. And but it is hard to recharge. I'm still that person, and I know when I go to an event, I have to go back to my hotel room and I have complete quiet and try to kind of get that recharge. But curling curling changed my life. Curling gave me confidence, like I said, that I never thought I'd have, and just found a way for me to be more open to trying new things, and being more open and being more vulnerable than I thought I could be.
And in those when you look back to those early days when you were starting out, if you could give some advice to young Jennifer Jones, when she was starting, what would now from your perspective now, what advice would you give her?
Well, there's a couple of things that I think that I love that I did. Never forget to smell the ice, and I always say that in a way. Never forget to enjoy what you're doing. Remember why you started, and that childhood joy of curling. Like, and I never did. I never forgot to smell the ice and really soak it all up. But in the same, and never let anybody outwork you. That's something that you can totally control, and you have that within you. But if I had some advice to young Jennifer Jones, it would be just surround yourself with people who believe in you. It's so much easier to believe the bad stuff or the negative comments and to believe that you can't do certain things than it is to believe that you can. But if you surround yourself with people who are constantly uplifting you and believing in you, then those comments are easier to believe because you hear them so much more often.
Well, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for your time, Jennifer, and all the best with the book launch.
Thank you. And if anybody's in the city and they want to come to McNally Robinson tonight, there's a little party and book launch at 7 o'clock.
Great. All right. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Jones is an Olympic gold medalist and world champion in curling. She, of course, is from Winnipeg, and she's released that new memoir. It's called Rock Star: My Life on and Off the Ice, and is going to be, as she mentioned, a launch event tonight at McNally Robinson, which is on 1120 Grant Avenue, in the Grant Park Mall there. And, of course, it is free to attend.